This is an S3 Virge DX. This is one of its many successors, the S3 Trio3D. Reportedly, this card no longer supports S3D, which is the API, the proprietary API, that this card does support. We're going to see about that today.
Okay, let's see how this goes. Because, oh boy, my video capture PC crashed 5 times already. So, yeah. Why is it so blurry? Come on. Come on. Blur be gone. Come on. Why is it so blurry? There we go. That's better. I know this is probably going to jinx it, but hopefully there's no more crashing. Anyway, yeah. This is the S3 Trio3D. We're in Windows 98 right now. Let's just get started with stuff. Because this video has been a long time coming, but only because it's been consistently crashing every time I try and do anything. So let's just start off with a little something to prove that this really is based on the Virge core. Because according to the Vogon's wiki, which I know it's a wiki, so it's not always going to be accurate. According to that wiki, this thing does not support S3D, but in the S3D Toolkit, we have a number of sample programs, cube, fan, stretch, and strip, as well as show text, I guess, that will, I guess, just run as S3D programs. And for those that don't know, S3D is a proprietary API, much like Glide for 3DFX, but S3D in this case is made by S3 Graphics, which is, the vendor of this graphics card. So let's just go ahead and start with Cube. So Cube, as well as all these other demos, are very simple programs. You can just use the hotkeys described in the background to rotate, as well as, map textures. So there's the texture mapping there. And interestingly, you can actually toggle perspective correction. So you can see right now that some of the lines are getting kind of wonky. If I press P, then it's perspective corrected and it's no longer weird looking. And you can actually see right there that the textures appear to warp right along the lines of where the triangles meet each other on the edges. So even if it's not specifically for S3D, it is still a neat way to see just how things are rendering on the Virge. Oh yeah, and also fogging does in fact work on the Virge. It's just that no other API appears to implement it correctly. And the S3D2, or the OpenGL to S3D wrapper that I normally play Minecraft with on the Virge as well, that, if I remember correctly, has the code for fog commented out. So yeah, at the hardware level, there is in fact support for fog. It's just that on the API level, outside of S3D, that support is not really there. So if we turn on color modulation as well, we get some fancy color with the textures. And filtering is just anti-aliasing from what I can tell. You can see the difference there as I toggle it on and off. The lines become much more smooth and less pixelated on the edges. And alpha texture blending, I haven't really seen any sort of difference with it. Anyway, yeah, we can also zoom in and out with home and end. So that's done. Fan and all the others are basically identical. It's just that they each have different models to them. Oh yeah, and also B toggles the background on and off. So yeah, we got texture mapping again, filtering or fogging, perspective correction, and yeah, everything works. Stretch. Oh yeah, I forgot. Stretch does appear to crash for some reason. And strip is just a crinkled strip. There's not really anything much else to it.
Just doing some voiceover real quick, I completely forgot about showtext.exe. So yeah, this is just a small program that loads textures. There's a texture file. I'm loading another texture file. And yeah, it's very basic compared to the other programs.
Monkey.
Yeah, S3D stuff works. And for further proof, we're going to run pod. So this is more specifically a version that was installed that I guess has support for S3D. So we can skip the intro video. Wait for it to start up. So for some reason, I can't click on graphical options anymore after I installed it. But just trust me on this, it is running in S3D mode rather than OpenGL, or not OpenGL. I don't think this even has support for OpenGL, rather than Direct 3D. So you may notice that the audio is kind of choppy. I don't quite know what's going on with that, but it could have something to do with the fact that you can see that it's obviously lagging. Along with the fact that I guess maybe it just doesn't like the Sound Blaster Live that I'm using, because this game is probably not expecting a PCI sound card. And I died. Goodbye. Yep. Yeah, it works. Not much else to it. And I'm not even going to try running 3D Mark. It's very, very laggy. And for some reason, 3D Mark 99 doesn't even start right now. Okay, close that. That's just the autoplay for the disc. Half-Life is the same story. It works identically to the Verge as far as performance goes, and even has the same issue where it's possible for me to fall out of the tram. So, I guess that just leaves us with Minecraft. So this video is going to be relatively short, I guess. And I guess we'll just open up GL info. So right now this is using the Direct 3D or OpenGL 2 Direct 3D wrapper Alt D3D. So this wraps OpenGL 1.2 to DirectX 6. And for the Trio 3D at least, this seems to be the best option. So if I run WGL gears here and drag this over to the side. So ignore the first FPS count that gets affected by me dragging the window. So we get about 134.4 FPS, well, 136 now, but it generally wavers around 135 or so FPS in GLX gears. And this is in no way a professional benchmark for performance. So if we switch out the wrapper from Alt OGL to our S3 Mesa, which is the OpenGL 2 S3D wrapper, the main one that I use at least. The Techland Mini GL that's used for Quake also does that, but it's a less complete implementation. If we open this, oh boy. Yeah, there's something wrong with the S3D wrapper on this card. So even though it does support S3D, it is not very good support. So we got 134.2 FPS there, just from the latest reading. But yeah, I wouldn't say that this is any good of a rendering path. So if I maximize with the window, it does get a little bit better, but you can still clearly see that there's something wrong with it. It's duplicating the image multiple times over, and it almost looks like it could be in some sort of weird interlaced mode, but I really can't tell what's going on. Because if I restore the window back to regular size, it also skews the image. And you can also see here, it does spit out complaints about the Z buffer. So, I don't know. Could be something related to that. Anyway, yeah, let's just go ahead and start Minecraft. Wait for it. Oh yeah, and while that's opening, we'll also get GL info. So yeah, even though both of these are technically Mesa 3.0, this is based on Mesa 2.6 rather than 3.0, so it only exposes version 1.1. So give it a moment while it starts up the launcher. So yeah, Alt-OGL is technically based on Mesa 3.0. S3 Mesa, at least the version I'm using, is based on Mesa 2.6. Though I did post in a comment under one of my community posts that I was able to merge together the source trees for Mesa 3.0 as well as Mesa 2.6. Or not Mesa 2.6, Mesa 3.0 as well as Alt-D3D. And oh yeah, I forgot. When using the Trio3D, wow, I keep forgetting things today. While using the Trio3D, I cannot have Minecraft in a maximized window. With the Virge, which has the exact same amount of VRAM at 4 megabytes, well, it's EDO DRAM, but still, video memory, it cannot run maximized on the Trio3D, whereas on the Virge, with the exact same amount of RAM, it can run fine. So I don't quite know what's going on with that. And this happens across both S3 Mesa as well as Alt-OGL, so I don't know, something's going on. That's weird. So just wait a moment here while it attempts to render. It will sit on this black screen for a minute or two while it attempts to load. And you'll see shortly that, just like the WGL Gears program, rendering is completely messed up. And this is also using the sweet spot, as I call it, rendering settings that I use on the Virge, which is 16 or 24-bit color, either one works, and 640 by 480 resolution. It could potentially be that since I'm running in a non-maximized window, that maybe that has an effect, but once again, with the gears at the very least, that shows that there's something lower than just this that's affecting it. And there we go, there's the loading screen, or at least what's supposed to be the loading screen. Give it a moment. It's trying to load. And we're kind of in. Oh, okay, give me a sec. All right, apologies for that. My mom walked into my room and my dog started barking. So, yeah, you can kind of see that looks like there's maybe water in front of us, but it's really hard to tell. If I just pause the game real quick and try and maximize the window, it's not going to be much better. Because now it's just rendering like that instead. But yeah, this does look like we're looking at water down there right now. And it crashed. Yep, general protection fault in JVM. Yeah. This happens with Minecraft, especially on S3 cards, at least in my experience. So we'll rename that back to that. We'll go back to ultra-cringe. So as a reminder, this is ultra-cringe right here. It's running on Mesa 3.0. Maybe if I have more experience with C in the future, I might try and compile the Mesa 3.0 version of S3 Mesa, though just comparing the source code between 2.6 and 3.0, it doesn't appear that there's any difference between them. Anyway, Minecraft. So I'll quickly show that, just like with S3 Mesa, if I try and start the game maximized, then it's just going to immediately crash again. Yep, there's the crash. And there's the error log. So now we'll start the game again, but in a non-maximized window. And from what I've been able to figure out, it appears that making the window roughly 320 by 240, or if not smaller, is like the key to getting this to work. So the thing is, it either works or crashes Windows 98 hard enough that I have to hard reboot. There is no in between for this. So hopefully it works, at least for a bit. I know that it generally will work, but chances are it'll render a few frames and then hard crash the system. So as you can see here, it does not absolutely ravage the game's output, well, render output, like S3 Mesa does. It just has a slew of other issues. So we're in. The FPS counter is kind of hard to see, but it does look like we're getting around 5 or 6 FPS with dips down to 4, and that's completely expected, to be honest. Oh, and there's the crash. Hey, it didn't bring down the rest of the system with it. But yeah, there we go. Minecraft can run on the S3 Trio3D. And I'm making some very wild arm gestures right now, but you cannot see that because I am just narrating over, well, not narrating, but I'm just talking as I screen record. Let's see. I think we also have Turok installed. So let me just switch the disks out. So let's just start up Turok real quick. Let's see, programs. Oh yeah, and I also tried to run Sega Sonic 3D, but it does not work for whatever reason. So here we go. Turok Dinosaur Hunter 1.0. This is running in Direct3D. And I was not able to run it with any of these settings enabled without it crashing. So if I scroll down through this, yeah, it's got support for a number of cards, though it's just suggested settings. I need to disable all these again. This game, at least in my experience, in my testing, will only run with the bare minimum of settings at all. So give it a moment. Wow! Acclaim Entertainment. And there we go. There's one of the opening shots. Yeah, you can already tell that things aren't quite rendering correctly. I mean, at the very least, transparency does appear to work fine in this game compared to some other direct 3D titles such as, 3D Mark. Okay, I get it. There we go. So, yeah, we can see right there, you can see the water in the bottom there, that transparency does in fact work in this game. But similarly to alt-OGL, there are also very prevalent rendering issues, especially regarding the Z buffer, as you can see right there with geometry in the background clipping into the foreground. So there's still very evidently something wrong. Wow, level 2 key. So, yeah, Turok works. I would say that it is indeed playable, but would you really want to play with that kind of visual quality? Or lack of quality, I guess. Point is, the Trio3D is like a S3 Virge, but with better performance and worse compatibility. And that's really all I gotta say for now, so that's the end of the video. I'm gonna shut down Windows 98, and thank you for watching.
Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Why not check out that subscribe button while I try and get my hand tracking to work for once, or better yet, why not join as a channel patron? $1 a month gets you a shout out and access to the secret crab loft in my Discord, if I can point below. Okay, I guess I'm not gonna point. Linked in the description, and $5 a month gets you bonus content on top of that, including unedited video footage and early access to some of the other stuff that I make. Sometimes I question my life choices.